In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, there is only war and betrayal. The warp's insidious touch creeps not just through the void, but into the hearts of the faithful. Your Inquisitor, Elias Thorn, Ordo Malleus, standing on the ash-choked battlements of Hive Primaris on Necromunda, where the air reeks of promethium smoke and the metallic temps of spilled blood. The sky above is a bruised canvas, torn by the crimson streaks of orbital bombardments, and below, the Underhive writhes like a living wound, infested with chaos cults that have burrowed deep into the Imperium's flesh. You're a Listoic Space Marines of the Ultramarines chapter, loyal Astra Militarum regiments, and a cadre of Sisters of Battle stand with you. Their armors scarred from endless skirmishes, their vox grills crackling with litanies of purity, but something stirs in the shadows, a whisper that coils through your mind like smoke. Chaos does not conquer with brute force alone. It corrupts from within. Would you recognize the taint in your brother's eyes before it's too late? As the purge begins, the true horror unfolds, not the demon's claw, but the allies turned blade. The Underhive's labyrinthine depths swallow light like a black hole, the corridors a maze of rusted ferrocrete and dripping conduits where the air hangs heavy with the stink of unrecycled waste and the faint, sickly sweet rot of warp taint seeping from hidden altars. I, Inquisitor Elias Thorn, descend with my retinue, my stormcoat billowing in the recycled drafts. My inferno pistol holstered at my side, its grip warm from recent use. Brother Captain Lucius of the Ultramarines strides beside me, his power armor humming with restrained power, his bolt gun clutched in gauntlets that have crushed 1,000 heretics. Behind us, Sister Superior Valeria of the Order of the Bloody Rose chants a litany, her voice a blade cutting through the gloom, her squad's flamers casting flickering shadows that dance like demons on the walls. The Astra Militarum platoon follows, their las guns primed, their faces gaunt under flak helmets, the rank and file whispering prayers to the Emperor as we delve deeper into the cult's lair. The mission is simple: root out the chaos infestation before it spreads to the upper spires. But as we advance, an unease gnaws at my mind. A psychic itch that cinches touch often leaves a subtle shift in the air, like the warp's breath on my neck. Lucius turns to me, his helm's lenses glowing blue. Inquisitor, the Emperor's light guides us. The heretics will burn. I nod, but my thoughts race. How many times have I seen that light flicker in the eyes of the faithful? We press on through the twisting passages, the ground underfoot slick with effluent that carries the acrid bite of chemical runoff. The walls etched with crude sigils that pulse with faint warp light, a testament to the cult's growing hold. The first ambush comes in a widened chamber, a former storage vault now desecrated with altars of bone and rusted metal. Cultists emerging from the shadows with auto pistols barking and improvised blades gleaming under the flickering lumens. Lucius reacts first, his bolt gun thundering in controlled bursts, shells exploding in the cultists' midst with a sharp crack of detonations. Vita sprang across the walls in coppery arcs. Valeria's flamers roared to life, promethium washing over the horde in waves of purifying fire. The heat searing my face as the heretic screams fill the air, their bodies twisting in agony before crumbling to ash. I draw my inferno pistol, its muzzle flaring with hellish light as I incinerate a cult leader mid-chant. His body melting into slag, the warp's energy recoiling with a psychic backlash that stings my mind like a lash. The Astra Militarum hold the rear, their last guns cracking in disciplined volleys, beams lancing through the gloom to cauterize the enemy. Sergeant Harlan, a grizzled veteran with a bionic eye that whirs as he aims, shouts orders over the din, his voice rough as the Underhive gravel. Hold the line, for the Emperor. The fight is brutal, the air thick with the coppery reek of blood and the sharp ozone of lost discharge. But we prevail, the last cultist falling with a gurgling cry, his body convulsing as warp taint dissipates into ectoplasm. Lucius nods to me, his power sword dripping gore. The Emperor's will is done, but as I kneel to examine a sigil, a whisper coils in my mind, Sinch's voice, mocking, "Is it?" The purge grinds on through the Underhill's endless night, our path marked by the charred remains of heretics and the flickering light of Valeria's flamers. The air growing heavier with the stench of incinerated flesh and the metallic tang of spent power packs. My retinue moves as one, Lucius's ultramarines, the unbreakable core. Their ceramite armor clanging with each step, a rhythm that echoes like war drums in the confined spaces. Valeria's sisters chant unceasingly, their voices a shield against the warp's insidious pull. But I notice a hitch in one sister's step, a slight hesitation in her litany that sends a chill through my bones. The Astra Militarum troopers, led by Harlan, fanned out to secure intersections. Their last guns sweeping the shadows, their breaths ragged under the weight of their flak armor. We reach a central nexus, a cavernous hall where the cult has gathered in force. Terra, altars piled high with sacrifices. The air thick with the cloying incense of corrupted candles and the coppery reek of fresh blood. Demons materialize from rifts in the air, lesser horrors with twisted limbs and gaping maws, their screeches piercing the gloom like alien shrieks. Lucius charges, his bolt gun roaring, the explosions lighting the hall in strobing flashes, Vita and Demon Ichor splashing the walls. Valeria's flamers ignite, Promethean flames sweeping the chamber in purifying waves, the heat intense enough to blister exposed skin. The heretic screams, blending with the demon's howls in a cacophony of agony. I unleash my psychic might, a storm of warp energy that lashes out like invisible whips, tearing through the demons and sending cultists convulsing to the floor. The air humming with the resonance of my power, the psychic backlash stinging my mind like needles. Harlan's troopers hold the perimeter, their las guns cracking in precise volleys beams. Lancing through the smoke, but one soldier falters his last gun, dropping as his eyes glaze with an unnatural blue hue, his voice twisting into a chant to Cinch Sergeant. I shout, but it's too late. The trooper turns, his laskin barking at his own kin, the sharp crack of discharge echoing as a fellow soldier falls, Vita spraying from his chest. Lucius pivots, his power sword arcing to decapitate the corrupted trooper, the blade humming through the air with a low war drum beat, the body slumping as demon essence leaks from the wound. Valeria's eyes narrow behind her helm, flamer swinging toward the Astra Militarum ranks, suspicion etching her voice. The taint spreads. Purge them all. I hesitate, the weight of command a blade in my gut, knowing that chaos thrives on such doubt. The battle rages on, the air thick with the coppery reek of Vita and the sting of Prometheum. But the true enemy is within, the allies doubt, turning to betrayal. Would you pull the trigger on your own to survive? The nexus secured, but at a cospedies of cultists and demons litter the floor, their forms dissolving into ectoplasm that slicks the ferrocrete, the air still humming with the residue of my psychic storm. Lucius stands over the fallen trooper, his power sword dripping core, his voice steady but edged with concern. The warp's corruption is swift, Inquisitor. We must be vigilant. Valeria nods, her flamer's pilot light flickering, her sisters forming a protective circle, their chants a barrier against the taint. Harlan rallies his remaining men, their numbers dwindled by the betrayal. His bionic eye worry as he scans for more signs of corruption, his voice rough. Emperor, preserve us. I feel the warp's whisper stronger now, a psychological lash that questions every glance, every word, Cinch's cunning sowing seeds of doubt in my mind. We move to consolidate, securing the nexus as a forward base, the air heavy with the reek of death and the faint rot of warp taint, lingering like a curse. A sister approaches, her helm tilted. Inquisitor, Sister Mira, ... She falters in her litany. I turn, Seeing Mira's eyes glaze, her flamer wavering, in my heart sinks, the corruption spreads like a plague, turning the faithful into vessels for chaos. Purge her, Valeria says, her voice cold, but I hesitate, the doubt gnawing deeper, the warp's voice whispering promises of power if I embrace the change. The purge turns inward, the nexus becoming a court of judgment where purity seals are tested and litanies recited. The air humming with the resonance of prayers and the sharp crack of executions when doubt surfaces. Mira falls first, her body convulsing as the taint manifests. Demon essence leaking from her eyes, her flamer dropped as she lunges at Valeria with clawed hands. Valeria's chainsword revs, the blade worried through the air with a metal clang, severing Mira's head in a spray of Vita, the heat from her flamer tank igniting the corpse in a burst of promethium. Harlan's troopers watch, their faces pale, some muttering prayers, others glancing at each other with suspicion, the psychological horror of the corruption eating at our unity. Lucius stands silent, his bolt gun ready, but I see the flicker in his lenses, a subtle glitch that sends a chill through me. Brother Captain, I say, my voice steady, recite the litany. He complies, his voice booming, but there's a hesitation, a warp-inflected note that twists the words. The air thickens with tension, the remaining sisters raising their flamers. The Astra Militarum troopers gripping their last guns, the nexus a powder keg of doubt. Would you condemn a hero to save yourself from the taint? Lucius's litany falters, his helm turning slowly, the blue glow in his lenses intensifying as he raises his bolt gun toward me, his voice distorted. The changer reveals the truth, the Emperor is a lie. The chamber erupts, the sisters' flamers roaring, promethium washing over Lucius as he fires, shells exploding against the walls with sharp cracks, Vita and ceramite shards flying. I dive behind an altar, my infernal pistol barking, melting his pauldron. The heat searing the air as he advances, his power sword humming with warp energy. Harlan's troopers open fire, Law's bolts cracking against his armor, but the taint regenerates, wounds knitting with demon flesh, the air filling with the rot of corruption and the sting of ozone. A sister falls, Lucius's sword cleaving her in two, the metal clang echoing as her flamer detonates in a burst of heat and light. I channel a psychic ward, the energy coiling around me, the air humming with resonance as I counter his advance. But the warps whisper tempts, join him, embrace the change, gain power beyond imagination. The battle is frantic, the nexus's confines amplifying the chaos, Los discharge and bolt explosions lighting the gloom in strobing flashes, the air thick with the coppery reek of blood and the heat of flames. Harlan charges his bayonet fixed, stabbing at Lucy's side, the space marine roaring as he backhands the sergeant, sending him crashing into a wall with a metal clang, bones snapping, seized the moment, unleashing a psychic storm. The energy ripping through the chamber, the air crackling with resonance as warp lighten lashes Lucius, his armor fracturing, demon essence boiling from the cracks. He screams, a mix of Astartes' defiance and sensuous laughter, his body convulsing as the corruption fights back, tendrils of warp flesh lashing out. Valeria joins me, her chainsword revving, the blade worry as she strikes, severing his arm in a spray of Vita, the heat from her power field cauterizing the wound. Lucius falls to one knee, his helm cracking open, his eyes blazing blue. All is changed, ... I fire my infernal pistol, the shot melting his head into slag, the air filling with the reek of burned flesh and the final snap of his purity seal failing. The chamber falls silent, the survivors panting, the air heavy with the weight of loss, Harlan clutching his broken arm. Valeria's sisters reduced to a handful, their chants a broken murmur. The purge has claimed my allies, the corruption turning them against me, the psychological horror sinking deep I next. The nexus secure, but the city still burns, The warp's whisper, a constant companion, a promise that survival comes at a price. We ascend to the upper spires, the corridors widening into grand halls lined with Aquila banners, and ecclesiarchy freezes the air, shifting to a cloying mix of incense and the bitter tang of sanctified oils, the distant chant of priests, a mockery, the face of corruption. My retinue is a shadow of its former strength. Harlan's troopers dwindled to a squad, their eyes darting with fear, some whispering litanies that falter, the taints, seed planted. Valeria walks beside me, her helm's lenses reflecting the flickering lumens, her voice steady. The Emperor tests our faith, Inquisitor. But I sense the doubt, the warp's whisper coiling through her mind, and I wonder if her flamer will turn on me next. We reach the command post, a fortified basilica where the inquisitorial command coordinates the purge, the air humming with vox chatter and the whir of servo skulls. The walls adorned with purity seals that glow under the strain of warp proximity. Lord Inquisitor Varric greets me, his face a mask of zealous resolve, his staff crackling with percentage. Thorn, the taint spreads. Your retinue, they bear the mark. I glance back, seeing Harlan's eye glaze blue, his laskin rising, and the chamber erupts in betrayal once more, the air filling with the sharp crack of lost fire and the roar of flamers. Varroc's Pazat lances out, striking Harlan, the sergeant convulsing as demon essence leaks from his bionic eye, his body twisting into a horror that lunges at us. Valeria's flamer ignites, but her aim veers, Promethium washing over Varroc's guards, their screams piercing the air as they burn. No, I shout, my inferno pistol barking, melting Valeria's arm, her body falling as the taint manifests, demon claws bursting from her flesh. The command post becomes a battlefield, servoskulls worry and confusion. Their optically stores glitching as the warp's influence spreads, vox chatter distorting into Xingqian chants. I fight alone, my psychic wards holding against the onslaught, the air humming with energy as I banish demons and purge the corrupted, the heat from flamers and the reek of burned flesh filling the basilica. Varroc stands with me, his staff a beacon of light, but as the last horror falls, I see the blue glimmer in his eyes, his voice twisted. All is change. Thorn, join us. The betrayal cuts deep, the warp's whisper a roar in my mind, tempting with visions of power. I raise my pistol, the shot echoing like a death knell, Varroc's body melting, the air filling with the rot of unmaking. Alone in the command post, the purge's failure complete, I activate the exterminatus protocol, the orbital bombardments commencing, the sky tearing with crimson fire as the city burns. Survival is mine, but at the cost of all, the warps taint a shadow in my soul, whispering of futures where I become the monster I hunted. The exterminatus rains down, the air vibrating with the thunder of cyclonic torpedoes. The hive city crumbling in a maelstrom of fire and smoke, the heat rising from below as billions perish in the purifying flame. I stand on the battlements, my storm coat whipping in the gale, the sky a canvas of destruction, the air thick with the reek of promethium and the coppery temp's flesh. The warp's whisper fades, but the doubt remains, a psychological scar that questions my purity. The corruptions echo a constant companion. Have I saved the Imperium, or merely delayed my own fall? The black ships arrive, their auspex scanning for survivors, and I wonder if they'll see the taint in me, the ally turned heretic. In the grim darkness, survival is a curse, the warp's gift, a blade that cuts both ways. Would you endure as I have, with the whisper in your ear, promising all in, taking everything?